Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Had a good spring break. We're going to be starting some new stuff today. This is stuff we have done before. We played with it a little bit back a couple of months ago, so you'll probably recognize it. What we're going to be doing is solving equations with squares and square roots. All right. To do this, to solve an equation with a square or square root, you have to undo the square or the square root. So we're going to solve the equation basically like we've always solved an equation. We're going to use our steps. We're going to clear parentheses, collect like terms. We're going to move the variable to one side. In this case, the variable is going to have a square or a square root. Then we'll undo addition and subtraction. Then we'll undo multiplication and division. Now, the only difference is after we do these steps to isolate our variable with the square or the square root is we're going to undo that. So to undo a square, you take a square root of both sides. To undo the square root, you square both sides. So the final steps of these equations is going to be getting rid of that square or the square root. Okay. Now, this, don't believe we talked about this, but this is important when you're solving equations, is that when you take a square root to solve the equation, you have to account for the positive and the negative. For example, if you're taking the square root of 4, your answer is going to be positive 2 and negative 2, since negative 2 squared is 4 and positive 2 squared is 4. So if the variable is on this, if your variable's in a square root, then you just square both sides. That one you don't have to worry about the positive and the negative. So I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say we do all this and we get down here to x squared equals 16. Well, so since the variable has the square, we're going to have to square root both sides. So we square root x squared, which gives us x. And then we take the square root of 16. Well, the square root of 16 has to be plus or minus 4. So this plus over the minus stands for plus or minus. So the answer will be positive 4 or negative 4. And that's the way you're going to have to do it. You probably won't be able to type this plus or minus, so you can just say x equals 4 or negative 4. All right? Now, when we're dealing with the square root, when our variable's in the square root, we just have to square both sides. So we square this side, so we get the square root of x squared, and then we also have to do the other side, so we'll have 4 squared. So the square root of x squared is just x, because remember the square root and the square cancel each other. And then 4 squared is 16. Now, you will see some problems where you have to take a step to get the square of the square root by itself. So I'm going to look at one where we're dealing with addition subtraction here. So I have x squared minus 2 equals 7. So x squared minus 2 equals 7. I have to get this x squared term by itself, so I add 2 to both sides. Okay. So when I add 2 over here, it disappears. And when I add 2 to 7, I get 9. So that's how I end up here. Now I have a square root that I have a square that I have to get rid of. So to get rid of the square, I have to square root it because the square and the square root cancel each other. But also to do the other side, so I get the square root of 9. So the square root of 9, square root of x squared, the x squared with the square root over it is x. And the square root of 9 is plus or minus 3 because 3 squared is 9 and negative 3 squared is 9. Okay? So when we're using square roots to solve, we got to account for the plus or minus. Now, this last one I'm going to look at is solving multiplication with division, or solving with multiplication and division. So I start out with 2 times the square root of x equals 8. So I've got to get this square root of x by itself. To do that, since I've got multiplication, I have to divide by the 2 on both sides. So the 2's cancel and I get the square root of x. And then I've got 8 over 2 is 4. So the square root is now isolated, so I can get rid of it. So to get rid of the square root, I square it. So that's how I get the square root of x squared, and I have to do the other side, which is 4 squared. Well, the square root of x squared is x, and 4 squared is 16. Now, if you've seen this before the help sessions, I will be going over a lot of these during the help session today, so 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. So you need to come in, make sure you understand this. And then also, If you're seeing this, I will be sending an email out to make sure you check that. The high school has asked us to redo our recommendations for your freshman math based off if you have done what you need to do during these virtual days. So, what that means specifically is if I have recommended you for Math 1 and you have not done the exponent unit or most of the exponent unit and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, I am going to change your recommendation to foundations. Okay? So you'll be getting an email on that, and also I'll put it on Google Classroom. All right. Hope to see y'all at 10 and 11. There'll be a worksheet to go with this. And then tomorrow on Thursday, we'll be doing some more practice with this. And then Friday, we're going to do a quiz that will count as a quiz grade. Okay, so Friday will be a quiz that counts as a quiz grade. So if you're having problems at that, wait until after the help sessions on Friday before you take the quiz. Okay, if you have no problems with it, just go ahead and knock it out. All right, I hope y'all have a good week, and I will see you at the help session. Take care.